Football, our national sport and a game which is entrenched in the very fabric of British society. But is the modern day game so financially driven that it's forgotten about the people who make it what it is, the fans? Do many of the new owners of our football clubs care about supporters, and what impact have their actions had? And does action need to be taken by the governing bodies of the game to make sure that football doesn't totally alienate its traditional working class following? Many Manchester United fans have been vociferous in their opposition to the Glazer family's ownership ever since they seized control of the club back in May 2005, with a buyout which relied on huge amounts of borrowing. As well as being a respected journalist for the likes of the Manchester Evening News and The Independent, Andy Mitten is also the editor of leading Manchester United fans in United We Stand. He therefore knows exactly what impact the Glazers have had on United fans and believes such takeovers have no place in football.
I don't think any good has come from clubs being taken over by people who cannot afford to buy them with highly leveraged buyouts. I had sympathy for Liverpool supporters and what they suffered under Hicks and Gillette, despite them being a great rival of Manchester United. And I don't think the Glazers have brought any good to Manchester United. I don't think they've added any value to Manchester United. They've just caused untold misery among the supporters. And people listening might think, this is bizarre. United keep winning trophies, they're still top of the league, but they don't see what goes on beneath the surface.
These issues have included ticket prices rising on an average of 50% since the buyout, and also the formation of breakaway club FC United, who were formed by disenchanted fans in protest to the Glazers. Mitten believes that the divide created amongst United support, as some have stayed at Old Trafford and others have left for FC, has been the most upsetting consequence of the takeover.
I know people who've used to go to matches with 7 or 8 people, and those people now go to FC United and not Manchester United. I know people who've been hit pretty hard. They get over it, you get over things in life, but it's been depressing, yeah. I will still go to Manchester United and watch FC 3 or 4 times a year, and I enjoy it. I agree with a lot of the things that they do, but I can't talk for everybody. There are some fans who haven't seen other fans since May 2005. And that's pretty depressing when you think these people travelled around the world together as Manchester United supporters, and because of something neither set wanted, were divided.
FC United are wholly owned by its fans, who vote on all issues affecting the club, from ticket prices to whether they should have a sponsor on the team's shirt. And the fans who made that heartbreaking decision to stop going to Old Trafford and to swap Champions League football for the second division of the North West Counties League said they get an experience at FC that they could never get at Manchester United.
You're involved, you're part of it, whereas at Manchester United you're just coughing up money for superstars and lazy to take back to the States. You're not involved in any decisions. Basically, I would say it's the right word or not, but you get screwed.
The feeling of being part of something that's a bit different, I think, to everything else. The ethos that it's one member, one vote, and there's no bigwigs running everything. I just think it's absolutely brilliant.
I think the reason everybody's taken to this is just the fact that it's such, you can just look around, it's a family, it's a community thing, whereas Manchester United, it just isn't that anymore. And it's been taken away really from the local people. It's been taken away from the people of Manchester, really.
FC United have made huge strides since their formation, securing promotion in each of their first 3 campaigns. They also made an incredible run to the FA Cup second round this season, the highlight of which being Mike Norton's last-minute winner at League One side Rochdale.
Norton's moved into the penalty area. Goalkeeper Lillis has lost it. It's Norton! Incredible! 4th minute of stoppage time, and the non-league goal machine has surely put FC United of Manchester into the second round of the FA Cup.
FC are currently trying to raise funds to build a new stadium, and their supporters have raised an astounding £1.3 million through the club's community share initiative in a bid to achieve this goal. The scheme guarantees that the club will not just use the money to build the ground, but also to develop facilities which will serve the community. FC United's general manager Andy Walsh believes the scheme shows supporter ownership as a way forward for football. I caught up with Andy during FC's game against Burgess earlier in the season.
I think the raising the money for the community share scheme has been one of our biggest achievements. I think it shows the confidence that other people have in what we're trying to do here, that this is not just about building a football club, it's about building an alternative model of ownership for all of football. We think that the current model of ownership is bankrupt, and you look at the Premier League and 14 out of the 20 Premier League clubs are trading at a loss. Portsmouth goes bump. There's over £3 billion worth of debt within the Premier League, and that's got to change. And it ain't going to change unless people can see a viable alternative. And we believe that fan ownership is such an alternative model. And we want to see every football club have some semblance of supporter ownership to save the game.
The takeovers at Manchester United, Liverpool and Portsmouth have raised questions over whether the ruling bodies of football should be more vigilant in their rules over who can own football clubs.
The governance of the game in this country, it's idiotic, is the best way to describe it.
That was James McKenna. He's a prominent figure in Liverpool fans' group Spirit of Shankly, who led the protests against former club owners Tom Hicks and George Gillette. He's also an elected member of the Football Supporters Federation. McKenna thinks the current rules regarding club owners are completely misguided.
Tom Hicks and George Gillette, under the present rules of the Premier League, because they, as they say, they've got to be objective, not subjective, they could own another football club. So Tom Hicks and George Gillette could turn up at your Tottenhams, your Evertons, your West Hams, your West Brom and buy another football club, and there is nothing in the laws or the governance of the game that means they can stop them, because it's got to be subjective. They blame company law, they blame, the easy laws of the lands and what they can get away with. Not acceptable. To be banned from doing it, you've got to take the same football club into administration twice. Or as Lord Treisman said it when Lord Treisman was sacked over the allegations over Spain and corruption in the World Cup, he actually said in that same taped interview, which no one really picked up upon, Robert Mugabe could own a football club, but Nelson Mandela couldn't, because Nelson Mandela has a criminal conviction. It says it all.
McKenna believes unless football clubs and the governing bodies take action now and give fans more of a say in the running of football, the game risks totally losing touch with its core support.
They can save it if they just listen to us and engage with us, realise that without the supporters turning up, yeah, you can have 1 million people watching on Sky, but if Anfield isn't full, or the Old Trafford isn't full, no one's going to want to show that game, because they don't want to show empty stadiums. It really is, becoming a case of where it's disconnected. It's no longer that working class sport. You see that your football club doesn't actually care whether you turn up or not, because someone else will buy the ticket. And that's when people begin to walk away, and once the hardcore supporters walked away, then everyone else will follow, and who knows what will happen to the game then. I think they need to act now and to remember that, without these people turning up, then they'll have nothing. They'll have nothing without the supporters. Maybe they should realise that.
David Burgess is the chief executive of the Lancashire Football Association. He agrees it's imperative that fans' concerns are listened to.
I think it's really important that we listen to what the supporters want. If we just go and do as the FA what we think is the right thing, it's not always the right thing in the eyes of the supporters, because they're the people that pay the money into the game. People perceive us as the FA and the agents and the players who are the people that take money out of the game. So if we don't listen to the people who put the money in, they'll stop putting the money in, and once that happens, the game will just disintegrate.
The advent of the Premier League in 1992 has seen more money than ever come into the game, with clubs being able to spend huge sums on players. It's allowed us to see moments like this.
Gilberto for Ulrich, running at Harman and away from him, and running at Carragher and away from him. Still, Thierry Henry, fantastic goal!
And this.
Ronaldo, disguised ball to Rooney, lovely combination. Here goes Ronaldo, Rooney to his left-hand side, gives to the right, perfect ball. Wayne Rooney for Manchester United. What a goal! Oh, what a goal!
But despite the high-quality football on offer, many believe the Premier League's only concern is making money, with no thought for fans. Cathy Long is the Premier League's head of supporter services, I asked her how she would respond to this accusation.
Probably people who say that usually don't really know anything about football, in all honesty. You do get that a little bit from people who maybe support other sports or don't really know about how the game works. But actually, people who do know about how the game works know how much things have changed since the advent of the Premier League. You know, before the Premier League came along, there weren't massive surveys of fans. There weren't fans forums at every club. You didn't have people being elected. You know, it was representatives to talk to the clubs. There wasn't anything like the fan engagement that goes on now. And I don't think any other league in the world has the sort of fan engagement that we have. I think it's one of the reasons we're more successful, though, you know, because fans are looked after better.
I also asked Long to respond to the claim that the Premier League haven't been vigilant enough in their rules over who can own football clubs.
I think we may not have been in the past. We felt very hampered in the past by the law, really. We were worried that anything we tried to do, you know, wouldn't be legal, because obviously it's the law of the land in the end that determines who can buy and sell anything in this country. But I think now we're extremely vigilant. Potential owners are constantly being rejected. They've bought clubs abroad and there have been real problems with them. So we've breathed a sigh of relief, really, when we've seen what's happened abroad and realised that we prevented it happening in this country. So I think the rules are a lot tighter than they used to be.
The Premier League are firmly against any government intervention into the running of the game. That's one of the main issues up for discussion at the current parliamentary inquiry into football governance. Alan Keane MP is a member of the Select Committee. He's also chairman of the All-Party Parliamentary Football Group. He thinks football has become obsessed by finance and wants to see a higher level of supporter involvement in the game. He believes government intervention could well be necessary.
To put it this way, the most straightforward way I can put it, if English football doesn't start governing itself in a way that's acceptable to the mass of people involved in the game, yes, I'd like to see government say, right, we'll make sure that you do.
Keane, however, isn't optimistic the government are likely to take action.
Everything depends on whether the government thinks that regulating football is important enough to get involved in it in the middle of all the other financial problems. So I'm not being pessimistic, but that's really how it is.
In Germany, fans have decided to take matters into their own hands. Supporters from all over the country have joined together in a campaign called Save Our Fan Culture. This was initiated after fans were charged over €20 for a terrace ticket for the first time. Borussia Dortmund fans even boycotted their game against fierce rivals Schalke in protest at the price hike. As a result of the protest, a number of Bundesliga clubs have agreed to negotiate with fans this summer in a bid to reach a solution. Stephan Uersfeld from Dortmund supporters group Schwarzgelb thinks the fact that fans from all clubs have stood together has been a huge factor in the protest making such an impact. He urges English supporters to follow their lead.
Would make a huge difference if it's not only, say, Liverpool fans protesting against their owners or against their own ticket prices, but if a fan union starts protesting on one match day, it's much louder if you speak in one voice than speaking in several voices, and that should just cross club boundaries, because that's something fans of all colours are concerned about, or should be concerned about.
The events in Germany, as well as clubs like FC United, have shown that supporters can make their voices heard. In the making of this documentary, though, the overriding feeling is that football is in serious danger of becoming totally disconnected with fans, as they continue to feel marginalised by the powers that be and taken advantage of by cash-hungry club owners. And when it comes to increased supporter involvement in the game, the FA, the Premier League and the government continue to talk the talk, but it may be up to the fans themselves to walk the walk. The last word goes to James McKenna from Spirit of Shankly. He wants fans from all clubs to stand shoulder to shoulder in the fight to bring football back to the people.
In Germany, they have come together, they put aside them loyalties for the greater good. You know, you can stand inside the ground and hate each other for 90 minutes if you want. You can hate each other, you know, for 99% of your time. But that 1% of time when you should stand together, let's do it. Let's achieve something. Then what happens in Germany would probably pale into insignificance as to what could happen here. I'd love to see it happen. I think the benefits would be there for everyone to tell, and it could well change and revolutionise how this country is run and how the football in this country is run.